What's up, everybody? You're back in here with the Pro Football Pod. You've got the boys. We've got Coach. We've got Austin. Hulk's here with you. Draft is wrapped up, so you know what that means. We've got to dive in right now, and we're going to talk a little bit today about our top three or, favorite draft classes. I loved a lot of draft classes this year. I think there was a lot of value to be had, and I think a lot of teams capitalized on it. You've seen so throughout the grades as well.
Absolutely. It's hard to find a C or a D. Not impossible. You only have to stay in the A's, but there's very few teams that are just like absolute nobody likes what they did.
A lot of B's, B pluses, like very few C's across the board. It was a great draft all the way. I mean, Austin, you were talking about it pre-show where, we kind of all picked our top three, but there was still probably an extra 4 or 5 we could have added as honorable mentions.
Yeah. For sure. Like I like Green Bay, definitely like what Denver did. That little duo package deal they got with Oregon.
I thought that was really smart.
Franklin, that one was like
getting.
I love the value they got on Troy Franklin for a guy that was almost mock draft in everything, either first or second round. To get him in the 4th and pair him up. Like,
I'm telling you, like,
I love that, but I do feel like they should have traded back because I think they reached on Bo Nix at 12.
I feel after Penix win at 8, though, they kind of had to pull the trigger.
That did throw everything off because Vegas probably was going to go Bo Nix right behind him.
Putting Bo Nix there in mock draft.
We were, but not necessarily because we wanted to, but because we kind of knew that's where it was going to go.
Because that coach, that quarterback.
And I even said in our mock drafts, I don't want to pick this pick. This is going to be a reach, but this is what the Broncos are doing. But hey, let's go ahead and dive into it here. Austin, go ahead and give us your top 3 favorite draft classes, and let's see what we're working with.
Well, the 3 I liked the most was the Chargers, the Carolina Panthers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think every one of those picks that they were making was just solid. People I would have snagged off the board. And they really made me like fans of their teams, like when they were drafting. I already like these teams, but like heavily invested in them.
Starting off with the Chargers, they took Joe Alt at 5, Ladd McConkey in the 2nd, Junior Colson, they got him in the 5th. Expected 3rd or 4th round pick to get him super late like that. And Justin Ebogbe that they got in the 3rd round and then 4th round for Justin. They got 2 cornerbacks back to back and then Kamani Vidal, Brendan Rice to like end up the 6th and 7th round and then another wide receiver from Michigan.
Fell so far. Like I could not believe how far Brendan fell. And the Chargers need so many receivers, and so
it's a speed thing. I think everybody just prioritizes speed so much, and like that's where Marvin Harrison, we'll talk about a little bit later. He helped him draft stock so much by not running the 40. Like if he would have ran a sub 4.5 40, he may have lost out to Malik Neighbors. But because he just said, "Nah, I'm not about that." Nobody had anything to like measure off of, and they were like, "Well, let's just go off the tape." And he's an elite prospect with an elite lineage.
The tape was excellent too, though. Like, and that's where, and I'm with you there with the whole Malik and Marvin, them being very close together. But for me, Marvin is a generational prospect at wide receiver. But hey, we're talking about the Chargers. Looking at this total draft, I feel like we mock draft most of these players consistently to almost whatever team we were mock drafting.
I think Terhib still and maybe Cornelius Johnson might have been mocked once or twice by us, but those are like the only ones that like.
I know we mocked Junior Colson and Cornelius Johnson both to the Chargers.
Yes.
Because of the Michigan ties and the positional needs, so we nailed those. Everybody knew they were probably going to go offensive tackle or trade
Joe
back
with them half the time.
And like Jim Harbaugh said, everybody's talking about we didn't really take skill positions. Well, offensive line to us is a skill position. I love the Jim Harbaugh is the ultimate football guy. Yeah. Like I love the cut of his jib. Ladd McConkey, we love that. Junior Colson, love that pick.
That's a huge pick for them though. Ladd in the 2nd round. Like they snagged him where they got him. They traded up from.
He immediately is going to become the Keenan Allen role of a target monster on that team.
You think he's the number one receiver on that team? I mean, Justin,
100%.
Between Palmer and Quentin Johnston from last year, like he's absolutely got a more well-rounded skill set.
I mean, he fell to a quarterback too.
Now
he's right here, but like that's
for all hoping purposes. Yeah, and for all hoping purposes, if Cornelius Johnson, if Quentin Johnson develops like he should and, gets a little more route running to his game and can kind of cut down on the drops, you're kind of looking at two big play guys, and then you've got the ability with Ladd McConkey gives you as well. So I love what they did. And you mentioned the Cardinals as well, right?
No, you had Green Bay as one of your other ones, Austin?
No, it was the Steelers.
Steelers. I like the Steelers a lot.
Yeah, I had the Steelers on my list as well, so go ahead and dive into that one.
Yeah, so I mean, round 1, Troy Fontenot. Round 2, Zach Frazier. Round 3, Roman Wilson out of Michigan.
And Peyton.
Round 3, Peyton Wilson. Yeah, round 4, Mason McCormick. Round 6, Logan Lee and Ryan Watts. It was just a pure solid draft from them. Like
a Pittsburgh draft is what this was. They wait till round 3 to get their wide receiver, which great wide receiver for him. I mean, you lose Deontay Johnson.
I literally said that he was going to be going there too.
Yeah, kind of feel like Roman slips right in there easily. The Troy Fontenot and the Zach Frazier picks upset me so much because they were both right before the Dolphins pick.
Yes. But you know how high we were on them. Like we love
both of those prospects. Honestly, have to shout out to all the people that are Steelers fans that watched our Steelers mock draft, because they were absolutely right. Like, the Steelers weren't looking to take skill position in the first 2 rounds. They were looking to build up the trenches, take a wide receiver later that they can get plenty of value out of, and they get a slot receiver in Roman Wilson. So he's not necessarily going to push on the outside with Pickett, but a phenomenal slot receiver. In the 3rd round, 20th pick.
And exactly what you need. Pick it over the top. You got Roman Wilson underneath. I mean, I love what they did. Peyton Wilson, I mean, nobody was really high on this linebacker class, but for a lot of people, Peyton Wilson was linebacker 1. For them to get him in the 3rd round, I love what he'll be able to bring to that team, come in behind, Patrick Queen and be able to come up under him.
So I did hear that Peyton Wilson might have some ACL damage in one of his knees, and that's why he fell out of the 2nd round. Because with the 40 time that he pulled off, people were expecting this guy to go a lot higher. So the fact that he fell into the late 3rd round has a lot to do with like some sort of health issue. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to be productive at the next level.
No, and I agree. Like, once you get healthy and with a strength and conditioning training of the NFL, you expect them to come back stronger and ready to go. Love the Mason McCormick and Logan Lee picks. They're just both 2 football guys. Like, a lot of people I were seeing said it was a reach on Logan Lee. To me, I feel like this was right in his sweet spot. Like, you're going to take him before most people would, but I love what he's going to bring to you, especially with Cam Hayward being on his way out soon.
4 of the 7 picks for this team were in the trenches. That's what you need to do, especially this draft had so much value in the trenches. Like, getting Mason McCormick as late as they did and the amount of value he may potentially bring to the table, that's exactly what winning football teams do. They don't look to take the flashy Brian Thomas like was getting mocked to them over and over and over again. And he was there. They had the chance. Brian Thomas went 23 to Jacksonville whenever they traded back with Minnesota.
That's a good pick for them, though.
It was a great pick.
They needed a guy like that.
Agreed.
And then you also brought up Carolina, and I agree with you on there. They didn't make my list, but I love what they did. You didn't have a 1st round pick. You finagled your way and traded up in there right at the end of the 1st to steal Xavier Leggett get that 5th-year option on him. Also, you don't allow him to hit the 2nd round, which you got to love to see.
And then
I
trading
love the Jonathan Brooks pick.
Trading back into the 2nd. They traded back with Indianapolis to get Jonathan Brooks ahead of all the running backs that ended up going in the 2nd and 3rd.
Love that.
The 3rd pick they traded for.
Trevin Wallace, to me, maybe a bit of a reach, but I'm okay with it. Like, I understand what he's going to bring to your team, and he very well could come in and start day one just because of lack of depth there. Jatavian Sanders, love that pick.
In the 4th?
What we're seeing is bringing in Deontay Johnson this offseason as well. You bring in an offensive-minded head coach with Dave Canellis coming over from Tampa Bay. What they did on their offensive line, bringing in Rob Hunt in the offseason, as well as another guard to play there and start for him. I love what the Panthers are doing here as far as bringing in talent to build around your number 1 draft pick, which is what you're supposed to do.
Can't make much excuses now. I mean, Jonathan Brooks and Xavier Legge are obviously like the 2 splashiest picks here, but like those are some great talent.
I like them trading up and getting Jonathan Brooks before Dallas was on the clock.
Yes. I mean, Jerry Jones tipped his hand a little bit.
Well, I think it was either he was completely baiting people, or for them it was Jonathan Brooks or bust.
It seems like
it was either they got Jonathan Brooks or no running back at all, which is just wild as a concept to me.
We're likely going to talk about the Cowboys on our fails episode, the losers of the draft. So check that one out.
If you subscribe and hit the notification bell, you'll get an alert whenever it drops.
There was a point in the 3rd where they had a 2nd pick, and there was still some running backs on the table in Marshawn Lloyd, and they didn't go them. And so it seems like it's exactly like you said. If they weren't getting Brooks, they were taking nothing.
The run of running backs that happened in the 3rd round, starting with Miami trading up to the 20th pick of the 4th round.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, within the next 14 picks, 7 running backs get taken.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they just completely miss out on that run. It came out today that they were bringing Zeke back. So, okay, I guess. But, you still... is Zeke and Rico Dowdle, like, are they that confident in it? We'll get into that later.
Yeah. So my only problem with this draft for the Panthers is I just didn't value Xavier Legette as high as a 1st-round pick at the end, especially with guys like Keon Coleman still there, Ladd McConkey was still there, Adonai Mitchell was still there. I think Adonai Mitchell is a real steal for Indianapolis to be able to get him at, I think it was 52, and for him to be a legitimate, I mean, he could be an X. The guy can play everywhere he needs to go. I know he had really bad stats as far as like depth of target and like average yards per target in college, but I think that he is much better based off of his skill and his assets that he brings to the table.
I would disagree with like Xavier Legette he's Megatron.
He's a dog.
Like he really
he's
is.
from Carolina. Like
he's also from Carolina. So like you're also bringing Xavier Legette back home. Like you're trying to sell tickets at this stadium because the ticket sales there are the cheapest in the entire league right now. So like we're trying to move seats.
Now
move the needle a little bit.
Jatavian Sanders is huge for them as well, though. I really like that pick.
So
like that's a big tight end that can catch for Bryce Young. Like Bryce Young can't have many excuses now. Like let's see what he can do.
So one of the teams that I picked was the Cardinals. I picked the Chargers, and I also picked Philadelphia. I think the Cardinals absolutely won in like the skill position battle. Being able to get Marvin Harrison, phenomenal target. I had him as my number 2 wide receiver. And then to get Trey Benson in the 3rd round after Jonathan Brooks, but before the big run on running backs goes in the 3rd, I had him as my number 1 running prospect. Him and James Conner is going to be a total, like, I mean, that's a solid, well-rounded running attack. And then they got Austin's favorite tight end in the 3rd round as well with Tip Ryman.
Oh yeah,
that one made me smile when it came through, and they took him in the third.
Yeah, very early compared to where we saw him going.
Told you that's where he should have been going.
No, see, to me that was I love the player, hate the pick. Like in that spot, that was a reach in my opinion. But when you have 4 third-round picks, I don't think it really matters. You're just snatching up players that are on your board, guys that you love for your culture, and I understand that. I mean, they had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks in the top 90. Yeah, and I do like what they did with them. Isaiah Adams at guard, Max Melton at corner for from Rutgers. Probably going to be more of like a slot style corner, but I love his game. And Darius Robinson, he was high on a lot of guys' boards. The defensive end edge out of Missouri. We knew they needed edge help and probably figured it was either edge or corner they were going to go with that second first rounder. I agree with you. Like they were another one that didn't necessarily make my list, but I would be happy as a Cardinals fan looking at what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I mean, the worst teams in the league last year, so they needed so much help, and so I feel like they got it here.
The fact that they had 13 players added, it means that they're going to gain a very huge youth movement.
It's a whole new team.
Yeah.
That, just like the tight end, running back, wide receiver, little action they got going on, that's going to change that whole offense. And they already have a great tight end there.
And they didn't have to trade back. Like they were able to get Marvin Harrison and still had all these picks accrued without having to trade back from the number 1 prospect on a lot of people's boards.
Yep. And just one last guy, Xavier Thomas in the 5th round. He was another one around that 4th, 5th round range in almost all of our mocks. For edge needy teams, he was a guy we were looking at. So for them to snag him up as well, I like the players they got. Yeah, a few of them were probably reaches, but in a couple of years, you may see him as steals. So, I mean, I agree with them. And then you also mentioned Philly. I also had them on my board. So let's go ahead and dive into them and see, why we love them so much.
I mean, the biggest thing is their first 2 rounds. Like the fact that they got the steal and Cooper DeJean at pick 8, and then they got the steal and Quinion Mitchell at pick 22.
Pick 8 of the 2nd round.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. I agree. I love that they saw what their need was, which just want to pause here. All the Eagles fans that were in our mock draft comments talking about how you're not drafting a corner, you don't need a corner, your corners are absolutely fine.
Because they signed.
Yeah, go ahead and please comment again as to apparently how dumb your GM is, who's one of the best GMs in the league.
Literally.
And he goes corner and then a hybrid corner / safety in back-to-back picks, which I love. I love both those players. Quinion was our number 1 corner.
Yep.
Cooper DeJean was like our number 2 or 3 corner, but our number 1 safety. Like, I love it. Absolutely love it. Really love the Will Shipley and Aeneas Smith picks as well.
Yes. Will Shipley especially. In the 4th round, it was after a bunch of running backs had already gone. I think Marshawn Lloyd was already gone from USC. And to be able to get this guy, he's very well-rounded. Phenomenal value. Perfect
guy to sit behind and learn from Saquon and kind of just give him some help there. Aeneas Smith.
Will Shipley's a beast.
He is a beast. That absolutely. Like he was pretty much all Clemson had, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then Aeneas Smith, he's a playmaker. The good heartfelt story, obviously, them trading up for Jeremiah Trotter Jr. So being drafted by the team and the owner that drafted and your dad played for pretty much his entire career, if not his whole career, that's awesome. And I love the player. I think getting him in round 5 was pretty solid value, in my opinion. He probably could have been more of a 4th round pick. Trevor Keegan.
That pick got traded 5 times.
We had Keegan going a lot of
times.
They
traded... I think they made a league record 9 trades in this draft. They traded back almost every pick they had. It was awesome. I loved what Howie Roseman did. He just picked up picks for next year, moved back, still got guys. any Michigan O lineman we've been hyping up. So Trevor Keegan going to learn in that Philly offensive line system. Awesome. Wasn't as high on Johnny Wilson as a lot of people were. People were having him go in the second or third round. I thought that was a little high for him. But you give me Johnny Wilson in the 6th round?
Oh, dude, that was a steal.
I will take that
A
all
steal
day long.
in the 6th. Absolute steal.
And then Dylan McMahon as well, coming in, playing center, coming out of the 6th round. We saw what they did with Jason Kelce as a 5th round pick for him. I mean, not to go ahead and call him a future Hall of Famer, but again, the way they develop their offensive line in Philly is things that people should be looking at.
And they've already gotten a good tackle in the free agents, the undrafted free agents. They picked up a good tackle that Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson were talking about. But the fact that Dylan McMahon gets to come in and be surrounded by such a great line means that he's going to have a chance to elevate his game. Now, he's probably going to have to play the Jason Kelce role, which sucks, because the whole entire football field is going to lay on his back.
Yeah, I don't think he comes in and starts immediately. He's more of the reason he went in the 6th round is because he's got the dog mentality, but he is a little undersized, which Jason Kelce, that's why he fell, was because they considered him undersized. So again, I love the team he got drafted by for what he needs to be able to develop.
Now, and then what was your other team?
So yeah, the one we all kind of agreed on, the Pittsburgh and Philly. So my last team, a draft I absolutely loved, was the Commanders. I love what the Commanders were able to pull off.
It's another team that had so many draft picks.
Their first 6 picks were amazing. I loved every single one of their first 6 picks.
Their first 6 picks were people that I would have been happy taking on the Dolphins, aside from Jaden Daniels. Just wanted to get that in there quick so nobody could clip it.
Yeah, we have to. Don't necessarily need Daniels, but Jer'Zhan Newton was who I wanted us to take at 21. Mike Sanders still
4 in the 2nd round. I know a lot of people were mocking him there, but I mocked him in the 1st round every time for a reason.
He's a game breaker.
Yes, he might be a little undersized at defensive tackle, but again, not to go ahead and compare him to a Hall of Famer, but that was the same knock on Aaron Donald. If they've got that dog in them, they've got that dog. Love the Mike Sanders still pick. He's just going to come in and give you much needed help in the back end. Probably play a little more nickel for you, but I just love his game. He's aggressive.
Ben Sinnott was a little early, I think.
I agree.
But I love the talent, and the comp that he's getting is Sam Laporta, which is exactly what everybody's looking for, is the next Sam Laporta.
I agree. It was a little high for him, but it's, again, I'll just fall back to one of those things to where if a team has very strong conviction on a guy and they don't see it as a reach, time will tell.
Yeah.
There's also a huge need for them. They've been rotating the door with tight ends their last few years, and
Logan Thomas can't stay healthy.
He really can't.
Yeah, Logan Thomas. I believe they also had who was it? Logan Reed. Paul, Jordan Reed.
He was their last good one, and he had the same problem. He never stayed healthy. So
yeah, and Logan Thomas was a converted quarterback. Yeah, and then so to continue on, Brandon Coleman can play some guard for him, tackle. He's a little bit of a developmental guy, but he can give you some spot starts and some swing ability this year. Luke McCaffrey, loved them picking him up at pick 100 overall. We obviously know the pedigree there. It makes some sense, too, with the new front office people coming over from San Francisco. They have those ties with Shanahan. They have those ties with the McCaffreys. Yeah, so there's a little connection there.
A little out of pocket for them to grab him, but that makes sense now.
They did need receiver help, so I do like 100%, them bringing him in.
But it was a little bit of a reach on him.
And then I love the Dominique Hampton pick at number 5 or round 5 as well for them to come in at safety. He's a very big body guy, about 6'3", 215, coming in, and So he drops this because with that size, you become more of a tweener. Are you an undersized linebacker? Are you an oversized safety? But if you use players like that the correct way, they can become a weapon for you. Kyle Hamilton is a good example. He's just got elite athleticism to go with his frame. And so I love what the Commanders did. They killed it. Like you said, their first 6 picks, I'm all about. Like, I'm completely fine with all of it, even with the little bit of a reach in Ben Sinnott.
All of them were likely contributors at one point or another this year. All of the first 3 rounds for them, I mean, that's exactly what you're looking for at that point. I think that's the biggest knock on some teams, that like it looked like they were drafting more for developmental, even in the first, second, and third rounds. These guys were they were very bad roster last year. They need to win right away, and these are players that are going to be able to come in and compete and push everybody up a little bit.
I didn't think that they needed that many receivers. They have so many good receivers on their roster.
Well, they only have 2 left because they let Curtis Samuel go.
Yeah, they've got...
Yeah, but they have...
Terry Mack, and they've got Jahan Dotson. And then, they do have Damani Brown as well.
Diami.
But he left a little bit to be desired as a rookie. He's still, a little raw, still getting kind of molded there. So I'm fine with the Luke McCaffrey pick in the 3rd round just to give you some depth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for your young quarterback coming in, a rookie with him. And they also picked up, not drafted, but Sam Hartman. So...
they did sign Sam Hartman there as an undrafted free agent. So hopefully he makes the roster, just if anything for poster opportunities. You've got to let that flow shine somewhere. If not, he's going to be in Head and Shoulders commercials tomorrow for sure.
He's easily a solid backup quarterback. Like, he could be a starter in the NFL.
He's exactly what you want your backup quarterback to be. Like, look the absolute part, just kind of chill.
What was the quarterback from Blue Mountain State?
Oh, man, you're putting me on the spot here, and I don't know why I'm blanking on it.
Alex Moran. He's the Alex Moran.
When I hear Blue Mountain State, my brain immediately just starts shouting Thad Castle, Thad Castle. Like, that's it.
I went to the school that the creator of the show went to. So
that's cool.
He filmed it based off of my school.
You peed in the bathroom he peed in.
100%.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. But hey, we appreciate every one of you sticking around with us. We're at 100 subscribers now, so we're 20% of the way we need to get for you guys to have a chance at a free jersey. Tell your friends, subscribe, hit that notification bell. TulsiRoseTea.com is the sponsor. Check back later this week or for our other video on the ones we did not like. These drafts kind of poo-pooed all over the bed. We love you guys. Peace out.
Losers.